Sure. I'll talk a little bit about some injuries like I've done recently, and then we'll go into questions. No real updates other than Tyler, Jr., and Patrick are all making good progress, and then Jamie Shackleton is almost ready to train, but not quite. And most of the other players, I think, are available and ready to go. I think all of them are available.
Jesse, you had Liam and you had Calvin back last week in some shape or form. How significant was that for you in terms of the weeks to come?
Yeah, I think both, again, I said after the match that both have a big effect in our group, both on the pitch and off. Liam, I thought, put a courageous 90-plus minute performance in and was one of our best players in the match and matched tactically what we want from the game, which I think for his first run out with the group, I thought was really impressive for him to adapt so quickly and easily. And then, to have Calvin on the pitch, I think everybody saw that it brought poise to our group, that he helped settle the game down. I heard him say after the game that he didn't do much, but just by being on the pitch for us, I think that presence meant a lot. So really great to have those guys back, and we use this week to get them more and more to 100%. So I think that they'll be ready to contribute come Saturday.
Another little twist last night with Burnley beating Everton, and that bottom of the table just looks even more intriguing at the moment. Watford, I think, 8 behind you. So what are you expecting from them?
Yeah, I mean, I think Watford is a really group that they don't want to give much away. They stay pretty organized. They stay very compact, sometimes defending deep, but are incredibly aggressive and often lethal in transition moments. They have the second most chances and shots in transition in counter phases in matches in the league, and it's because they really tried to play to that strength. So we have to be very aware that often Watford is most dangerous when we have the ball, and we have to make sure that we're balanced in how compact we are in our rest defense phases and our counter pressing phases to make sure that we don't allow their attacking players to be in open spaces and running at our defensive group. So, and it's a little bit tricky preparing for them because they rotate a lot of players. They have a talented group, a lot of good 1v1 players. And so I every time I prepare for a match in this league, it's hard to find weaknesses in the ways that teams do things. I know that Watford's a team that's low on the table and fighting relegation, but I still think that Roy Hodgson's done a good job with them, that they're disciplined and organized, and it will not be an easy match for us.
There's some lovely footage emerged of Roy on the training ground with the tracksuit on. He's well into his 70s. Wonderful that a manager just gets involved in his side's preparation to that extent.
Yeah, I mean, I've watched him for years. In a lot of different places he's been with the national team, with a lot of different places, and he's had an incredible career. The passion that he still has at his age, I think, is something to admire. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know what I'll be doing. It's so... because a year in a trainer's life, in a manager's life, can feel like 10. So
he's almost twice your age.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, he's not. But so much respect for the career he's had and what he's accomplished in his career, no doubt.
Do you get involved like that on the training ground? I know we filmed you today. Do you?
Yeah. I mean, I like to run training sessions. If we do little exercises and we need an extra man, I can jump in and play sometimes. I'm very, very limited, and I hate being that guy that looks so old on the pitch, but that's the reality of what I am. But with everything that I do with the group, I try to convey an energy that's about being positive, about being aggressive, about enjoying our work together, but also, getting better every day. So that includes, when I step on the pitch and play a little
Perhaps
bit.
like Calvin, it's just a matter of being there.
Yeah, I think Calvin has a bigger presence. But.
Can I ask you as well, in terms of the way the fixtures are panning out, once you've played Watford, you've got this huge gap.
Yeah.
How frustrating is that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look at when the schedule comes out and we have to play a lot of games in a short amount of time or we have a pause. It's about using those moments in the best way we possibly can to maximize every experience that we have. So I'm not a type that looks at when we have short turnarounds or when we have long pauses. I think with short turnarounds, it's an opportunity for more players to get an opportunity to play and show that they're ready. And my job to prepare the group and every single player within the group is really important in those moments. And then, in the moment when we're still adapting to a new style of play and new demands physically for what we want the games to look like, the training days to look like, a little bit more time can be a real benefit. So, for me right now, it's about focusing on everything we need to do to be prepared for what Saturday is going to require.
30 points feels like you're nearly there, but there's obviously still some work to be done. When you look at the games after that, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, how important is it for you that you just get points in as quickly as you can?
I look at it only at this match right now, and I think that we have to understand what the mindset of Watford is, that this is a massive opportunity for them to collect points and close the gap. And so for us to focus on entirely what this game will require, to understand the mindset and mentality of what Watford will have, to understand that playing against a good team at their place will not be easy. All of these things are exactly what we're going to be focused on and prepared for. So, and I think our group, especially after Aston Villa, has shown an understanding of exactly what's necessary for every match. So we'll make sure that we do that very carefully and prudently for this one.
And a month here now, can you give us just some reflections on how you feel you've settled in? You seem to be a nice fit.
I'm really happy here, really happy in every way. My family's here. We love living in this area. We find the people here in Yorkshire incredibly friendly and open and helpful. The club, I think, has a lot of expertise and a lot of really wonderful people and skilled and good people. And then the players working with the team has been amazing. So, yeah, I feel like this is a really great fit for me. And I just want to do everything that I can to help this team achieve in the moment and game to game.
And finally, from me, can I just ask you, Sky are asking all the managers today about the plans to expand the Champions League and the 4 extra places and the suggestion that maybe 2 of those could become available to teams who've got experience at European football. A lot of people feel it's another way of allowing the bigger clubs another place. I'm I'm guessing you've got ambitions maybe to push for those places one day. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I respect that tournament so much is because when we were at Salzburg, we had to fight like hell to be a part of it. Even the league had leagues like that, like in Austria and in the Czech Republic, in Switzerland, and they have to fight as a league to gain places in the tournament. So that's what I love about the tournament is that you have to earn your way in, and there's a little bit of a David Goliath in the group phases, and how do you manage those situations? So to do anything to compromise the integrity of the tournament, like they were trying with Super League, for me doesn't make any sense. Certainly in football, and if I come from an American sport perspective, we're all about parity and salary caps and making sure that everybody has a chance. I think that already the heavily weighted clubs are heavily weighted enough. And if in a year they have a down year and they're not able to perform at the way that they should, then they shouldn't be included. You have to earn your way into Champions League. That's my opinion.
Thank you.
Yep.
Have a good weekend.
Hi, Jesse. Joe Gelhardt went off for a week. What's the situation with him? Is he available for you?
One of the reasons I didn't include him in the injury report is because he hasn't trained every day this week. But we think he will train tomorrow, and we think he'll be available for the match on the weekend. Then how we use him and what is the situation for him, we'll evaluate that as we go. With him, and while I've been here, it's been so unfortunate because it was a back problem, then it was a little bit of a false COVID, then it's been this injury, and we can always second guess ourselves and say, should we play players in 23 if we want them on the weekend? But players need game practice. They need time on the pitch. They need to continue to put our new philosophy of football into practice on game day, and so it was really important for Joffe to play in this match for us, and it was a shame that he picked this injury up, but we think he'll be available for Saturday.
And is it a leg injury, Jesse?
It's like it's a knock that led to a contusion and swelling, and then every day it's gotten better. So again, I think he'll train tomorrow and be available.
Well, for once he was outshone, Crescencio Somerville, what are you making of him?
I thought he played fantastic. I think that he has grown since I've been here more and more and more. I've talked to him about his behavior and mentality, professional behavior every day off the pitch, and what he needs to be like when he shows up here, and what the work week needs to look like, and then how to adapt to the style of play that we want, and how to continue to learn the tactics and behaviors. And for me, he's grown a lot in the past month. And I think this performance is a representation of his professional behavior, his work ethic, his mentality to try to learn and adapt. So certainly, even when I see that we're going to 5 substitutions in the future, I think of players like him, like Joffe, like Sam Greenwood, like Charlie Creswell, that deserve more chances to play because of the quality they have, because of the work they put in the week. And so it's a shame for me now that I can only use 3 subs to impact the game, and I would love to be able to have Cree in more important moments for us. So I think that he's doing a great job of in the matches showing that he's learning more, that he's more prepared, and that we can count on him more and more.
I know you're not table watching as such at the moment, Jesse, but last night's result has obviously concertina things up a little bit. What's the mindset ahead of the Watford game now? Is it more, are you still thinking it's how high Leeds can finish, or are you still concentrating just avoid that bottom?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the reality is we're still in a relegation battle. We know that. We're not foolish or naive to that. But again, watching the table doesn't do anything to impact our work process. And so, again, the best thing for us is to control ourselves and not stress about what the external situation is. And I think we've done a really good job of that. I've tried to stay focused and calm and disciplined with that mentality since I've been here, and I think it's impacted us in a positive way. And none of us think that we're done or that we're safe or that we're a completed project. It's all about pushing every day to get to be better. And by doing that, we know that we can fight for more points.
And do you sense that there's a confidence about the squad there now?
Yeah.
That they're going to stay up?
Well, in general, there's a confidence that the team believes in themselves more than they did, I think, a month ago. And I've spoken openly with them about that. But the key is to use that confidence in ways to continue to propel us forward and not to get comfortable and think that everything is okay. But that urgency and that mindset to push every day has helped us get to a better place than we were, and we have to continue to use that to be even better a month from now. Yep.
Jesse, just moving on from that, what specific areas when you first arrived that you saw in terms of the way the team were playing that made you think, right, those are the areas in terms of confidence that I need to work on in order to make sure that they come up to the level they're at now?
Well, it was easy to see the stress on the players' faces during the matches, right? That was the number one thing. So when I first came, I was just trying to relieve the tension on the focus on results and the worry about what was happening in the table. Then, when you're talking about, okay, so now for me to create a process for the players to transition out of the playing style that Marcelo had to what I want them to be, there's so many details that go into that. But that's what I've been doing, is every day going into details and going more into behaviors and more into understanding and creating training sessions that are reinforcing exactly those things. So coming out of every game, there could be 100 topics that I could touch on, but what I'm trying to focus on exactly the topics that will help us for the next opponent and in our process to improve and get closer to ideally what I want us to be in a year, 2 years, whatever the process here is. And to be fair, the players understand that, they grasp it, and they put it to practice at a high level every day. So, I said it was our best counter-pressing game. It definitely was, but we have so much room to improve there. It was a second ball day because now on the day Southampton decided to play literally every second pass long. So we have to then think about how to close our team, how to be in position to pick up second balls, and what kind of actions and tactics we want from that moment on. Still being sharp in defending set pieces and attacking set pieces. I think we've done a good job there, but there's more improvement we can make. Our build-up phase, I think, again, was good against Southampton, but then how it leads to us being a little bit more effective and dangerous in the last third. And again, what I said after the match is having more advantages into chances and chances into goals. We're still in developing that phase. But again, it's about putting the building blocks together and creating clarity for the group so they understand how all of those things can improve and then how to execute on game day.
In that sense, then, obviously, when things are working, it's easier to get players who might be a bit reticent far more on board. So how difficult was it to get some of them to buy into that philosophy? You talked about going from, Beelzebub to 100 to 70.
I mean, you could ask some of them about that specifically, but what I would guess and say is that from the first day I came, I've laid out a tactical plan with details and terminology, and I've tried to then, with the tactics, describe how we want to play moving forward. And then now we're able to get, now that they have a broader understanding of it, now we're able to go a little bit more into the details and into the minutia to help them understand how little things can make a much bigger difference. And so that's nice. It's a good feeling to be in that stage and not just throwing a million things at them. And that's a credit to them and their mentality to adapt. And I think you use the word buy-in. I would guess that the buy-in has come from the fact that they can see the advantages from the way that we're trying to play. They can see the benefits. And when they can also feel the benefits on the pitch and the power of what we're trying to accomplish, then it gets them more excited about trying to learn more and put more to practice. So that's the process that's been developed. But again, I really think we're only in the initial phases of where I think we can really go and what the end goal will be.
Graham? Jesse, a lot of the danger you've faced has come from wide areas or goals conceded as well. How do you better protect yourself against that when you've got quite a narrow system?
Let me just think about that for a second. I wouldn't totally agree with that. I think that a big part of our system of moving is not that the wide areas are open, it's that we are always ready to attack every situation together. If we're too wide, then we have too many gaps in our team, and then we give up too much space in transition moments, in crossing moments, in any defensive moments. So, yeah, I mean, we're certainly not as expansive as what we were in the past, but a big part of that is to control the opponent at all moments. I would say that a big reason why we've defended better is because we're not so expansive. And now it's about how to still unbalance the opponent, even though we're more compact than what we were. And I think, if you look at expected goals, if you look at chances created, if you look at any of these data points, I think we've been better in those areas. And it's because, they're understanding what the strategies are and what the tactics are. But we can still be better. By saying we don't play wide is incorrect. But we know where the goal is, and it's not in the corner. It's in the middle of the field. And we want to be vertical, and we want to make sure that the opponent knows that we're ready to be vertical at all moments. And again, that will mean that the opponent has to be more cautious about how much they want to push and attack. So, these are all strategies, and then the tactics match what the strategies are. So again, I think our team is getting more and more comfortable in understanding more and more what that is and what that means.
With Calvin back, you're going to be faced with midfield selection headache, I suppose you'd call it, a good headache to have. How much weight do you give to training performance or form or the specific needs of the opponent?
I would say I look at all of it. I'm a big believer that training means something, and so I'm on top of there's different kinds of managers. There's some managers that run everything. There's some managers that don't run anything and just watch to try to evaluate how players are performing. Right now, we're certainly in a phase where I need to be on top of training because I'm really reinforcing the behaviors that we need every day. But I've also developed an eye that while I'm doing that, I can also evaluate how guys are training and who's grasping concepts at the fastest rates. So for an example for me is Robin Cook has performed very well in training, and he hasn't always been rewarded with decisions on match day. But I'm very much aware that when we need him, if we need him, or that we need to think about carefully how to use him more on game day, that his performances mean something. So, and then it's looking at the opponent on every day and thinking about what's the best formation, what's the best group, how do we use all of the tools we have available and players and qualities and everything to give ourselves the best chance to perform and win games. So I think my job is to do all of those things and then make sure that I reinforce with the player group and the team as a whole that I believe in them and that I'm helping them understand how to get better as individuals and as a group. So that will lead us to decisions on game day.
Aaron? Hi, Jesse. We haven't talked to you too much about goalkeepers yet and what you want from them in your system. So when you speak to Elan and speak to Marcos, what is it you want from him, distribution especially, and what have you made of Elan so far? Yeah,
I think, first of all, I think Elan's talent is massive, right? I mean, he is a young goalkeeper, is as good as any young goalkeeper I've ever seen. So that's really exciting. And then he has a really good mentality. He's a worker. He wants to learn. He wants to improve. I think that Marcos has also done a very good job of being a mentor for him and a teacher. So they have a good relationship. And I think for me, how I work is I can't go through technically and tactically every detail for a goalkeeper like goalkeeper coaches can. So the way I work is I trust the goalkeeper coach a lot to then understand how to help the player adapt to the things that I want. Certainly being a last defender is always really important because we like to play very aggressively with our back line. And then I can see what I can do is with my experiences is I can see how to help a goalkeeper with his mentality, with his decision making, with when he has the ball in the hands, that he is the quarterback of that situation and then understands what kind of rhythm of play that we want within the match. And so I'll talk more about those types of things than I will, did he move one step to the left? Did he move one step to the right? that I'm not as good at evaluating. So, but I think that the work that Marcos and I have had together with the staff has been quite good, and then the work we've had with the goalkeeper group has also, I think, been very good. That being said, it was, the last word I said to Christopher before he stepped on the match is that he's trained well, that he's been that mentality to do whatever he can to be the best he can in training every day is the time. That now it's the time to reward himself for that work, and I can only say that when we needed him, he came up massively in a massive game, and we know that now if we ever need him, that he's ready to go. So I love that when young goalkeepers. I had a young goalkeeper in Salzburg that we had to put into a Champions League match, 30 minutes into the match, and it was a similar type message. His name was Carlos, and he had the ball, and he almost and a bib on, and he almost went on the pitch with the ball in the bib because I think he knew it was a big moment, and it was a nervous moment, but then he went on and played fantastic. And so that, for me, is always a reflection of the individual and the players, but also the environment we create, where we show that we believe in every guy that's here.
Last week you told us you'd be speaking to Victor this week about scouting and transfer.
Yeah.
And looking ahead, you said you might look to flesh out some more details for us on what was said.
Yeah, so yesterday we had that meeting, and to be honest, we didn't go into too many details about what our needs are and what players we're thinking about, either that need to go or come or whatever. It was more about educating the scouting department on what we're trying to achieve tactically, what kind of players we're looking for, creating profiles of players in each position. Also then updating where we think we are with our current group, and then each individual and their adaptation into what we're doing. I think it was a very useful meeting, and then we'll need to then now continue to think about as we go forward, how to continue to squad build in a way. I mean, for me, what I like to do is I like to look at where we are now, where we want to be in 6 months, where we want to be in a year, where we want to be in 2 years, and then kind of map out how that all starts to play itself out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You want one, Phil?
No, thank you.
Stuart?
Okay, Phil.
Jesse, you talked a lot about other people learning today. You're obviously learning as well as you go along. I just wondered, obviously Roy Hodgson's a great person to learn from. What the environment is like, how you found the environment after games between managers in terms of sharing ideas and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I would say congenial, maybe too congenial for me. But I appreciate that the manager, the respect, I call it a shared misery, and the respect for that shared misery is pretty strong here in England. I've always, we had Adrian Heath in the U.S., and so he coached at Orlando, and then he coached in Minnesota, and he was always really good with me after the match to say, come and have a beer. And I hesitantly did it, and I found it incredibly rewarding. I want to acknowledge the work that other people do, and I do respect and appreciate the work that other people do in this business. It's hard for me to sometimes be friendly with competitors because in my mind I want to not like them, but when I wind up liking them, that's I think usually the respect grows. But I like the motivation when I'm driven to want to beat someone. But sometimes, like I said with Ralph Hasenhüttl, my respect for him is so high, and when we played against him, I never want the players to feel the personal situation between me and the coach or the other manager, but I certainly feel the competitive juices on those days. But certainly I had a really nice talk with Ralph Hasenhüttl after the match. Brendan Rodgers was very generous with some time after the match. Dean Smith was mad at me for not shaking his hand, so we didn't spend as much time after the match. But in general, I know the level of respect for the managerial work in this country and in this league is so high. So it's nice to be a part of that.
And do you think it's giving you a better appreciation of Premier League culture?
No, I mean, listen, this league has anyone in the world knows this is the best league in the world, and all I need to do is watch opponent video when I prepare to develop high levels of respect for every team and every manager, because this is, I think, the biggest headache I have every week is watching the opposition and trying to find weaknesses and identify strengths, and it means that the work that we do has to be at such a high level to give us a chance. So I appreciate that it makes me better and it keeps me on my toes, and I certainly have to put a lot into every week, but it gives you headaches.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Good. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
And I heard you spoke to Mitch, huh?
I did, yeah. This week was in good form.